I don't give a fuck what nobody say. Bitch, fight me. But in my opinion, black people all around the world are in the predicament that we're in because we're too nice, we're too forgiving, and we continuously let people gaslight us for talking about our struggles, making us feel like we're dragging it, making us feel like we're playing a victim. Like, no, bitch, this shit is actually happening. And furthermore, start putting black people first. Start entertaining the thought of black supremacy. Okay? If you're a manager, if you're a leader, if you got a business, hire black people over white people like they do us. Okay? Let the black person go in front of you. Treat black people better than you treat anybody else. Give black people the opportunity, the role, whatever it is, before you give it to anybody else just because they're black. They do it. Treat their kids how they treat our kids, how they treat our teenage black boys, like they 30-year-old men. And they'll learn. They're not forgiving towards you. They're not understanding towards you. Okay? And they're not gonna let you gaslight them.
Sometimes I wonder if people actually know anything about African history. And I don't mean African civilization or the obsession with Egypt. I mean, do they really know what happened to Africa? That many tribes that exist today exist the way that they are because of displacement, and that they were not as they are today, and that they are a product of their situation. You know, for example, facial art, lip plates and stuff like that. You may see it as like an African practice, but really it's not. Many things practiced by Africans within their tribes were forms of protection. You know, like the lip plate specifically was done to girls, women, so that invaders wouldn't take them. Many times it's because people don't actually know about the Arab slave trade that happened way before the transatlantic slave trade. It's one of the reasons why there's the Bantu people of Somalia. Oh, but you may not have heard about them either, because there's this specific type of Somali that's usually the face of Somalia. I don't know what makes people think that Africans just have this power. Just as much as you fight for your existence, we fight for ours. Yes, in this time period, a lot has happened to our people. Do you understand what a country is and the destruction of Africa really means? If you do, then why do you think Africans have power to make decisions about what languages they learn in school or as a people when they can't even change the curriculum because the countries that own them have made their languages official languages of the countries that they colonize? Do y'all ask yourself these questions? If it's not Mandarin as an official language in specific African country, it's Africans learning French as a national language, as if Africans thought that was a great idea. It's imposed on us. And to be honest with you, at this point, I think it's a benefit if you ask me. Because I know my language, I don't have to be taught it at school. So yeah, teach me the colonizers' language, thank you. I need to be a few steps ahead. I need to know what they're planning next. Those Africans will be our interpreters of what the fuck is going on. We don't choose this life, but best believe we will use those little tactics that they put on us to our benefit. Because language barrier was one of the reasons we're in the situation we're in today. Not being able to comprehend what people were really saying and what they were trying to do. You sound like the same people who don't ask themselves how Shaka communicated with the British, or if he fought white settlers at all, and that his name was actually Skeety, and why whites speak so highly of him.
Really crazy to me is how much people honestly hate the truth. We live with these stereotypes and people taking the liberty to rewrite our historical narratives, but then when someone actually tells the truth about white people, now it's a problem. I mean, is it not true that everywhere white people have gone, the Aboriginal or native people of that land have suffered significantly? Is it not true that King Leopold of Belgium killed approximately 15 million Africans? Is it not true that Europeans came to Australia and massacred the Aboriginal people there? Is it not true that Asians and Africans came to the Americas before Columbus did, but they didn't start the enslavement of one group of people and the genocide of another? Is it not true that Jewish people owned slaves and therefore benefited in American slavery? And that's my thing. Ain't nobody saying that you have to carry that with you your whole life, but the fact that you come to me talking about unity and allies and all that, and you won't even acknowledge your history is a problem. We can't get any progress when you lie about what happened historically and get mad at us for telling the truth. Sorry, but we're not going along with these lies no more.
Because I've adopted the identity that the system gave me, and because I'm loyal to it, I'm now turned into a protector of this very same system, unaware that I'm a protector of the tactics that they were using in the past to keep us enslaved. Now I'm taught well by the system, and I'm loyal to the system. Remember, I'm taught how to exist in the system through an education system that favors those that have economic power and that keep me working and working and working for them. So, I involuntarily become a gatekeeper and a protector of the same tactics that were used in the past to keep us oppressed and colonized. Those tactics of divide and conquer, self-hatred, Afrophobia, xenophobia. You're conditioned to not see that the system is responsible for majority of the problems that you face, and the reason that that things continue that way is because they haven't made any attempt to try and restructure. So instead of looking at them, we now look at each other, because we are gatekeeping. We are protecting this system that keeps us oppressed. Then we now engage in colonizer behaviors. Remember, we're gatekeeping again. Those behaviors are keep them distracted, keep them fighting, keep them hating each other so that they don't look to us for anything. Make some of them more powerful than others, but keep them fighting and having chaos, and keep them there. And then there are people like us who were unfortunately born in South Africa, where now all of this is happening before your eyes. And then now people like us start asking the questions but why is the majority of us poor, right? And for those of us that engage in crime because of poverty, why is it that the justice system is unfair to us globally? Even in the United States, why does everything seem to be against us? And then when you open your eyes and realize how big of a machine this thing is, and realize the fact that even people who share the same skin tone as you are put in place to keep this machine running, you're like, oh my God, you know what? There is nothing I can do about it. The only thing that I can do is encourage human consciousness within myself. The moment then you start encouraging human consciousness within yourself, you become an enemy now to your own people.
Oh, y'all are just so angry. Angry black woman, angry black man. If you are black and you are not angry, there is a problem with you. This is such a generational issue even with our families, because in a black household, you are told not to embrace things like anger. But it was done to protect us from the pain that we were experiencing. What does anger do to your body? Many of us are sick not because of the food and the water that we drink. As Africans, we never got sick. Our people knew how to take care of their bodies. Not even that, the way we are created, besides the melanin, our bodies fight off a lot of things. Many of us are actually sick because of the anger. People don't believe that anger can actually create an illness. Our people dying of illnesses and diseases. But really it was the anger that was never released. My people, take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Embrace the anger, the pain, and everything that happened to you and your ancestors. Embrace it now. Because if you do not embrace it now, that same anger may poison your body. Where are our people going? Why is it that when one of us is killed, the other gets excused?
You know something? Black people are different from any other POC. Because if black people are awarded something for their hard work in order to make them be seen more as human, they get more rights, for example, those same rights automatically apply to every other POC because, socially speaking, societally speaking, at least in the Western society, all those other POC are above black people. But if another POC was to get a right or a stereotype removed for themselves, that doesn't then filter down to black people. And because that group have gotten what they wanted, they're not too fussed about what happens to black people because it doesn't involve them. And this is why I don't really care too much about anyone who isn't black or mixed with black, because at the end of the day, all those other groups of people are going to support themselves and stick with themselves. They're not going to give a fuck about someone who is black unless they have to, or unless it benefits them. Like me, for example, I'm a Dogla, so I'm Indo-Caribbean and Black Caribbean, and I will never be able to comfortably explore that Indian side because that part of me, those people hate black people. They're anti-black. It just is how it is as a collective. And I know some people might be like, oh, but there are so many people, other groups of POC and white people that really care about black issues, they talk about black issues all the time. Yes, but 9 times out of 10, that's performative activism. They don't give a fuck. And that benefits them because usually they do it on social media, so they get more media attention, they get more followers, more sponsorships. It's beneficial to them. It's not anything different. They don't really care that much.
No, this is really true. And what's worse is that it's people who claim that they are very well aware of what's going on in Africa. No ma'am, sit down. If you don't get it, I'ma tell you. There has been Holocaust after Holocaust after Holocaust in our continent. And there are Holocausts happening right now in our continent. But we must give space. Because we as Africans have always been put on the back burner. Ay bayanya, mina ngeke. Angeke ngithule ngabantu bami. The entire Africa has been through hell. And when we have that moment to now speak about what's going on with us, we are met with isms, things that don't even exist in our language. And then we are told we have rage. Of course we've got rage. I have a right to be angry. Mina my ancestors abadlali bayangibuza bathi hey khumbula ukuthi kwenzekaleni and why. Ngeke sitshelwe ngabantu abasnacks abomwinki ukuthi thina singakhuluma sithi singathi no hayi angifuni. If yena uhappy ngabelumbi bakhe angazosihlasela. Mina vele ngi very passionate ngabantu bami bonke from Cape to Cairo. And that's the thing, if we don't speak the truth about what happened to Africa, we are then not being honest with ourselves. While we're being silenced about what happened to Africa, we can't even go and start speaking about our African brothers and sisters who are in India, our brothers and sisters in Australia. What happened to them? Ngeke. Never. Soon as people speak about Ukraine, hey, we need to stand with. But when things are happening in Africa, no, turn a blind eye. Sengiyabona ukuthi kwenzakalani. Ngiyabona ukuthi thina sitreatwa ngathi siyilwane. Si primitive thina. Asinangqondo, we are not educated because we are African. Mina, I know that all black people are African and they have been through a lot. And I will speak about the traumas. I will take that band-aid that keeps being put on a bleeding wound. And ngizofoster ukuthi abantu they see ukuthi that wound is going to make you sick if you don't take care of it. A lot of the things that are happening today that we look at when we're like, oh my gosh, people are like this, people are like that. The problem is we are not finding the root of why we are like this. When you do not know where you are from, you don't know where you are. You don't understand the situation that you are in today. So if nqamba manga and don't tell the truth about what is happening and what has happened to us for centuries, not years, not decades, for centuries, we will not be able to heal those wounds as a black nation. We will keep putting on a band-aid, on a bleeding, oozing wound, and it will make us sick. Not on my watch. I refuse.
I don't see us so separate. Why do we have to separate ourselves so much from each other? Why is black women one separate entity and black men are another separate entity? That's not how it's supposed to be. That's not how any other race operates, but we're the only ones who operate like that and think it's functional. You feel me? I've said it before. Why do we get the label of strong, independent black woman? We don't hear that from nobody else. I've never heard strong, independent white woman, strong, independent Asian woman, strong, independent Latino woman, strong, independent Indian woman. I ain't never heard none of that. But we pride ourselves as being strong, independent black women, as if independence is something that we should strive for as a people. Independence is death. Everybody needs somebody. And the reason why we're struggling in our households and our communities is because we think that there's something good about being independent. Black women need black men, and black men need black women.